50 years after his assassination in Dallas, JFK continues to exert a powerful hold on the American imagination. Liberals have long claimed him as one of their own. But as editor-at-large Peter Boyer reports, some conservatives are now insisting that's just wrong.
Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
His friends and aides described him as a conservative. The press at the time described him as a conservative.
Author Ira Stoll is one conservative staking a claim on JFK's legacy. He says there was nothing liberal about Kennedy's view of America's place in the world.
That's a concept that a lot of people will find pretty startling.
He increased military spending. He was very tight when it came to government spending on everything else. He was very religious. He was very anti-communist.
Stoll says that in the 1960 campaign, Kennedy positioned himself to the right of Republican Richard Nixon on foreign policy, and once in office, immediately increased defense spending to beat the Soviets in the arms race.
This nation.
He launched the Bay of Pigs invasion, intervened in Vietnam, and stared down the Soviets in the Cuban nuclear missile crisis.
He was a religious man, and he saw the Soviet Union as this godless, really evil empire. And he used the word evil, just like Reagan did, in a way that he was attacked for. That's the case for Kennedy as a conservative right there.
Liberal reaction to Stoll's JFK conservative has been harsh. Former Kennedy aide Adam Walensky says that what Stoll and other conservatives miss is that JFK was moving to the left when he was assassinated.
He's the guy who decides that he's made a fundamental error about the way that the United States should deal with the rest of the world.
What evidence do we have of that, Mr. Walensky?
Well, the first and most obvious evidence is in the American University speech.
He delivered that commencement address in June 1963.
We all breathe the same air. We all cherish our children's futures. And we are all mortal.
It was the first great fundamental spiritual turn away from the whole idea of the Cold War.
He's talking about reassessing our relationship to the Soviet Union.
Jeff Greenfield is another liberal who discerned a new John F. Kennedy in the AU speech. In his book, If Kennedy Lived, Greenfield concludes that, among other things, Kennedy would never have escalated the Vietnam War.
It's the start, I think, of an effort by Kennedy to begin to reframe the way Americans think about the world, that it's not just us against them and one of us is going to win.
Why did the liberals consider JFK's person, politics, and legacy so available to them?
Well, I think some of it is just wishful thinking. Some of it is dishonesty. I mean, just distorting what happened.
Stoll notes that just 2 weeks after his call for harmony, Kennedy gave another, even more memorable speech.
He showed up in Berlin, the front lines of the Cold War, and he said, anyone who thinks we can work with the communists, let them come to Berlin.
There are some who say that communism is the wave of the future. Let them come to Berlin.
So which was the real Jack Kennedy?
The Berlin speech, I think that really represents the real John F. Kennedy.
It's not only not a loopy thesis, it is demonstrable. In the context of the Cold War, he was a conservative.
And in some key ways, JFK was a model for a later president, Ronald Reagan. We'll tell you about that in our next report. Brett.
Peter, thank you.